In the unfathomable reaches of the cosmos, where even the speed of light takes a lunch break, there existed a bunch of overpowered beings, the outer gods. Yeah, these guys didn't just rule the universe, they created it. Think of them as cosmic architects who didn't just stop at designing a nice building but decided to create the entire city, and then the planet, and then, all the stars. No big deal, the outer gods. It's like the opening credits of the universe, where the camera pans in, and you realize these beings have been around since, well, forever. They don't just control stuff, they are the stuff. These omnipotent beings, who have created countless universes since ancient times, are known as absolute beings. Yes, capitalized, because when you're this powerful, you get to name yourself like a video game boss. Absolute beings. Sounds epic, right? Well, that's because it is. These beings basically had the coolest hobby imaginable, creating entire universes like they were flipping through TV channels. Oh, a new galaxy over here. Sure, why not? Let's sprinkle some black holes and dark matter for extra flair. Creation. Easy peasy. They did it before breakfast. Through endless creation, these absolute beings sought and indulged in eternity. I mean, when you're this powerful and eternal, what else are you supposed to do? Knit? Take up cosmic pottery? Nah, you just keep creating stuff because, hey, time means nothing, and you've got all the space to work with. And during that process, they created countless matter, souls, and laws. Matter, souls, laws, it was like their to-do list for the day. Oh, did we remember to create the souls? Check. Matter? Check. Laws of physics? Sure, let's throw some gravity in there for kicks. And so the universe was populated with all these carefully crafted creations, all following the neatly wrapped laws they wrote. Simple enough, right? But wait, here's the thing. Even gods, as absolute as they were, eventually ran into a universal truth: boredom. Yep. Turns out that even creating infinite universes becomes, well, kind of a drag. How many more universes can we churn out before this gets old? They wondered. However, these absolute beings, bored from this endless repetition, came to a stunning realization: we're kind of bored. This is like watching paint dry, if the paint was the fabric of reality itself. And then, they had a eureka moment. They came up with one way to enjoy the passage of time. What's the best way to shake off the cosmic boredom blues? Drama. Conflict. Chaos. And so, the absolute beings did what any bored omnipotent entity would do: they decided to add some spice to their creations' lives by. It was, observing war between their creations. Yep, that's right. Their big idea was to watch their creations battle it out, gladiator style. Forget peaceful coexistence or cooperation. What's more entertaining than some good old-fashioned cosmic warfare? It was basically the universe's version of reality TV, and the absolute beings were hooked. They pulled up their metaphorical chairs, grabbed some space popcorn, and sat back to watch civilizations rise and fall, all for their own amusement. And so, war became the universe's new normal. But hey, at least the absolute beings weren't bored anymore, right? Far out in the universe, where even the stars got tired of twinkling, the absolute beings decided to add a little fun to their existence. And what's more fun than watching your creations duke it out? Why, it's like the ultimate cosmic chess game, with a lot more carnage. The battlefield was set, and chaos reigned. As the absolute beings kicked back with their popcorn, they watched their creations destroy one another on a chessboard-like arena. The absolute beings found it rather entertaining to destroy their creations. Yes, you heard that right. Nothing quite like the sound of shattered souls and broken universes to get these cosmic gods chuckling. And this wasn't a one-time thing either. Nope. It happened over, and over, and over again. Though countless creations repeated the never-ending process of dying in battle and being revived through this war, it was just part of the spectacle for the absolute beings. After all, why settle for a single show when you can binge-watch wars on a loop, right? It was necessary to sate the boredom of the absolute beings. Because when you're an all-powerful, eternal God, and you've tried everything else, yes, even cosmic knitting, the only thing left to do is watch your toys battle it out. Boredom, solved, but then, something unexpected happened. However, an incident occurred. And not just any incident, this was the kind of plot twist that even the absolute beings didn't see coming. An absolute being was killed by one of their creations while observing this endless battle. Whoops. Turns out the creations weren't too keen on being used as pawns. One of them decided to go full, "I'm not a puppet," and did the unthinkable, took down an absolute being. It was like watching your favorite player suddenly jump off the chessboard and smack the opponent's hand, and when the other absolute beings, the ones lounging in their cozy dimensions, caught wind of this. Oh boy! The absolute beings of the other dimensions, learning of this, quickly gathered. These beings, who thought themselves untouchable, suddenly had to confront the fact that maybe, just maybe, their creations had more bite than expected. It was like an interdimensional board meeting where everyone shows up in their most intimidating outfits. They gathered in one place to observe the world that had lost its master. Because when an all-powerful god gets taken out, it's no small thing. Now, the rest of them had to figure out what to do with a world that had lost its puppet master. Chaos? Drama? Or maybe, an even better show. The absolute beings stood in shock, or at least, as shocked as all-powerful cosmic entities could be. One of their own had fallen. The death of their comrade, felled by none other than a creation, one of their own toys, had grown a bit too sharp, it seemed, caused by a creation that they themselves had created. You could almost hear the collective "oops" that echoed through the dimensions. They probably never expected their cosmic chess pieces to hit back, but here we are. But you know what? The absolute beings weren't exactly known for dwelling on the details. Nope. In true cosmic style, they shrugged it off. Despite this, the absolute beings ignored this fact completely. Details, they probably thought. After all, what's one fallen comrade in the grand scheme of eternal existence? There were more important things at play. Like, figuring out what to do with all this unleashed chaos. They all shared one thought. You could feel the anticipation building in the room as they stared down at the chessboard. Something powerful had been unleashed. A force without a leash. A cosmic wild card. A power with no owner, just sitting there, waiting to be claimed. It was like someone had left the keys to the ultimate sports car in the ignition, and these gods were ready to race for it, and now, the stakes were clear. Will belong to whoever can claim it the first. It was on. The gods' version of a treasure hunt, only with less gold and more cosmic annihilation. Whoever could grab this loose, rampant power would reign supreme. And you know what that means, things were about to get chaotic. We opened to a typical day at a normal high school, students bustling about, lockers clicking open, and an empty soccer field basking in the sun. The usual. But today's different. Today's the day Sung Suho drops the big news. Leaning casually on the desk, with the kind of confidence only a guy who just got a life-changing letter can have, he proudly declares, "I got accepted to Korea University of Arts." Oh yeah, he's feeling himself right now. Meanwhile, the rest of the class. Let's just say they weren't exactly expecting this announcement. The disbelief hits harder than a pop quiz on a Friday. 2 students, sitting nearby, are shocked. I mean, Soho. The Soho Art College. One of them, slack-jawed, struggles to process it. No way. It's like someone just told him unicorns were real. The other guy, utterly baffled, blurts out, "How could someone as unsophisticated as Soho make it into an art college?" Yes, because clearly, being sophisticated is a requirement for artistic talent. The irony here? This guy's got to try again next year, and he's not exactly thrilled about it, Soho, though. He's on cloud 9. He stands there, grinning like someone who just escaped prison. And he's not wrong. Laughing out loud, he says, "Ha ha ha ha. I'm finally free from this hell." His classmates? They're half celebrating with him, half wondering if they're still trapped in this so-called hell. One of them slaps Soho on the back, a weird mix of envy and respect brewing in the air. "Congratulations, Sung Soho. I heard you got into art college." Yeah, you bet he did. With all the nonchalance of someone who's ready to paint his way out of high school nightmares and into artistic glory, Soho's off to chase his dreams, or maybe just avoid calculus. Either way, he's ready for the next chapter. As Soho basks in the glow of his upcoming art college adventure, he catches the attention of someone who looks like they've got a lot more on their mind than just congratulating him. You can practically hear the gears turning as the red-headed guy approaches, trying to make sense of it all. "I never knew you were so talented. Since when were you so good?" The classic, "I'm pretending to be impressed, but also slightly suspicious," tone. Soho, ever calm, just stares back, his thoughts probably somewhere along the lines of, "Here we go again." Enter Kim Song-kyeol, or wait, Lee Yun-cheol. Turns out even Soho can't keep track of this guy's name. Soho, with a look that says, "Do I have to deal with this right now?" mutters, "Kim Song-kyeol, you again? Wrong name, Soho. Way to make things awkward." "My name isn't Kim Song-kyeol, it's Lee Yun-cheol." Ouch. I just got your name wrong, burn. Soho plays it cool though, offering a casual response as if this whole exchange is just another Monday. Is that so? The conversation takes an unexpected turn as Yun-cheol launches into what sounds like the plot of a low-budget action movie. "Thanks to you, my plan to take over the school failed completely." Yup, you read that right. This guy had plans, and not the kind you casually scribble in a notebook during class. No, this was a full-on, school takeover, operation. The guy had dreams. Soho, unfazed as usual, counters with, "Yeah, and I was able to graduate thanks to you." It's a bizarrely casual conversation for such high stakes. You almost expect them to shake hands and walk away like old rivals turned business partners. Meanwhile, in the background, the class isn't exactly thrilled. One student mutters with a sigh, "Yun-cheol's starting shit again." Just another day at this wild high school, where plans to take over the school and accidental name confusion are par for the course. As the confrontation between Soho and Yun-cheol reaches its usual tension, the rest of the class is not impressed. Two girls exchange a glance, and one says, "What we're all thinking, we're about to graduate. Why is he still acting like such a kid?" Her friend nods, equally exasperated, "I know, right?" Meanwhile, Soho is off in his own thoughts, contemplating the mysteries of life. He's not just thinking about art school, oh no, his mind is deep. Why does he have to be so mean to someone who's trying to live a happy life after his parents went missing? Cue the dramatic backstory reveal. Just when things are about to get all introspective, Yuncheol does what all classic rivals do when they're out of words, he goes straight for the punch. Suho, he yells, fist flying at him like it's an action scene straight out of a martial arts flick, but Suho, being the protagonist and all, dodges like he's got the reflexes of a superhero. And in the blink of an eye, Suho counters with a move so swift, even Yuncheol didn't see it coming. The fight choreography. Impeccable. Yuncheol hits the ground, while Suho barely breaks a sweat. Somewhere in the background, you can almost hear the class rolling their eyes. Graduation can't come soon enough, because apparently, schoolyard brawls are still a thing, even for future art school students. Yuncheol, now charged with energy, lunges towards Suho, fists crackling with an unknown power. Suho stands firm, his body poised to react, his expression unreadable. The impact of Yuncheol's punch sends a tremor through the air, but Suho swiftly dodges, just as the ground where he stood splinters from the force. The other students look on, wide-eyed, unable to comprehend what they're witnessing. Why can't we just chill out before graduation? Yuncheol begins, but the sentence is cut short as Suho closes the distance, his movements fluid and precise. He's not the same as before. His sharp gaze reveals the depth of his experience. This isn't an ordinary high school altercation. Before Yuncheol can react, Suho counters with a powerful strike of his own, landing a blow squarely on Yuncheol's chest. The impact sends him flying backward, skidding across the ground, knocking over several desks and chairs. What the hell, it? Yuncheol stammers as he tries to catch his breath. His eyes widen in disbelief as his own energy fizzles out, unable to comprehend Suho's strength. For a brief moment, the classroom is filled with silence. Dust settles as Yuncheol struggles to stand, while Suho remains calm and collected, watching his opponent with an unwavering focus. The other students, who had been frozen in shock, now murmur amongst themselves, some stepping back nervously, others too stunned to speak, but Suho says nothing. His cold, unreadable gaze remains fixed on Yuncheol, who has yet to realize the full extent of the power he's just awakened in his opponent. The tension in the room was thick, with Suho still seated on the ground, staring at his opponent who stood tall, his fists engulfed in energy. It doesn't hurt at all. The red-haired fighter shouted, his eyes filled with both fury and arrogance as energy sparked around him like wildfire. His arm pulsed with a dangerous aura, one that could tear through anything in his path. Without warning, he launched himself forward, his energy fist blazing like a comet. The force from the punch cracked the floor, sending shockwaves throughout the hallway. Suho, though still on the ground, didn't flinch. His sharp eyes focused intensely on his opponent. Meanwhile, the students in the room looked on in horror and shock. A massive crater was left in the lockers, showcasing the destructive power of the red-haired fighter's attack. The air was heavy with dust and energy as the battle's intensity continued to rise. Ha! The red-haired fighter hesitated for a moment, his confidence wavering as he stared at his glowing fist. The sheer magnitude of his power seemed overwhelming, even for him. He hadn't expected his energy to escalate so quickly, and for the briefest second, uncertainty flickered across his face. Suho remained silent, his body unmoving. His eyes followed every action, waiting for the right moment. As the scene unfolded, a new thought began to emerge in the crowd's mind: this was no ordinary fight. Yet, despite the ferocity of the battle, the Suho is sitting in front of him doesn't move. His eyes remain fixed, focused, unsure but observing every moment. The red-haired man's cocky grin falters for a split second, sensing that something is off. His opponent sits still, his silent demeanor foreboding. Suddenly, time fast-forwards 2 years later. Sung Suho walks calmly through the futuristic streets, now older, now different. The city around him gleams with the latest technology and towering buildings. Despite the time that has passed, there's an unmistakable feeling of unfinished business. His casual stride betrays the dangerous life he's led since then, his hardened expression reflects the weight of battles fought and lessons learned. As he walks, leaves fall gently around him, carried by the wind, almost as if foreshadowing what is to come. The college sophomore, once ordinary, is now far more than anyone could have imagined. In the distance, an announcement echoes through the air. All of the classes in the main building have been moved to the side building. Please move to the side building. The commotion around him continues as people shout. Hunters are currently raiding the gate. Suho glances up, catching sight of the chaos, but remains calm. There's something deeper stirring within him, an unspoken purpose waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. A sudden tension grips the air as the crowd gathers at the barricade, murmuring anxiously while a few bystanders attempt to sneak a glance at the mysterious, swirling fog. Phones are raised, cameras flashing as a stern figure in a reflective vest pushes forward. Everyone, you must not come any closer. His voice booms, trying to maintain control of the restless crowd. Yet, curiosity battles against caution, eyes glued to the scene ahead. How long has it been since the hunters went in? A man asks, his sharp suit barely ruffled by the chaos around him. His voice carries authority, yet there's a hint of impatience beneath his calm demeanor. A bit over 8 hours, the vest-clad worker replies, glancing at his watch before nervously shifting on his feet. Since it's a D-rank gate, they should be coming out soon. Now. It is dangerous for non-hunter, so please back away. The tension eases slightly, but there's a lingering sense of unease. The crowd isn't satisfied with promises, they want action. A group of young women nearby chatter nervously, one with a mischievous grin whispers, "What do you think will happen if they can't clear it?" Her friend offers a weak smile, trying to mask her unease, "I'm sure the hunters will take care of it." In the midst of the crowd, one lone figure stands in silence, his expression unreadable. His sharp gaze fixates on the swirling fog beyond the barricade as he mutters under his breath, "Another gate, huh?" His mind races back to the birth of the gates, a moment that forever altered the world 3 years ago. The weight of that history hangs over him like a cloud, filled with unanswered questions and looming threats. The crowd continues to murmur around him, but his thoughts are elsewhere, in a battle that has yet to begin. Cinematic tension rises as the gate swirls ominously, hinting that this D-rank portal might hold more surprises than anyone is ready for. The sky twisted violently, a massive, swirling vortex opening in the fabric of reality itself. Cracks formed in the very air, sparking with ominous energy. Below, ruins of buildings smoldered, their stone and steel crumbling under the weight of a force far beyond this world. Gates were what people had come to call them. Passageways into another dimension. But to those who truly understood their nature, they were something much worse, doorways to the unknown, hiding within them horrors unimaginable. In which the monsters within escape and run rampant after a certain amount of time passes. Monstrous forms began to emerge from the darkness of the gate, their eyes glowing crimson, their roars shaking the earth. Clawed beasts, towering creatures of nightmare, each more grotesque than the last, spilled into the world. This wasn't some fairy tale. The monsters weren't here to play nice, they were here to escape and wreak havoc on everything they touched. And if the gate stayed open long enough, there wouldn't be much left of the world to save. But just as humanity was on the brink of collapse, a spark of hope ignited. Humans began to change too, almost as if they were designed to face these creatures. Superhumans, capable of wielding mana, began to emerge, their power shining as brightly as the very gates that threatened their existence. They were called Awakeners. Among them, warriors clad in gleaming armor, their blades charged with glowing energy, stood ready to face the monstrous tide. Awakeners weren't just warriors, they were humanity's last line of defense, as the monsters raged and the world teetered on the edge of chaos. Concluded quickly after an awakener named Wu Jinchou created the Hunters Association, gathering them all under a single banner with the title of Hunter. Their mission? To hunt, to protect, and to survive. And so, as the world changed and monsters continued to emerge, the hunters prepared for battle, determined to stop the chaos from consuming everything. This was humanity's final stand, against the monsters, against the chaos, and against fate itself. The war had only just begun. The world, once simple and familiar, had become irrevocably divided. On one side stood the awakened, those who had been gifted with extraordinary powers and now lived as hunters, warriors of unrivaled strength. On the other side were the unawakened, regular civilians, going about their lives in the shadow of these superhumans. A hand grips a brush tightly, scratching the surface of a canvas. In the quiet of an art classroom, students focus on their work, drawing, sketching, and painting, oblivious to the monumental shift in society around them. But one student isn't so lost in his work. The young artist, his brush moving with purpose, reflects on the hard truths of life. Some people, he thinks bitterly, have to work as tirelessly as ants just to scrape by, while others have wealth handed to them on a silver platter, without so much as lifting a finger. He glances around the room, the irony not lost on him. Here they are, painting away as though the world outside hasn't changed, while he knows all too well the harsh reality of their situation. His grip on the brush tightens as his frustration grows. The unfairness gnaws at him, making it impossible to ignore. This cruel distinction between the awakened and the unawakened forces people like him, the ants, to confront their limitations every single day. He grits his teeth, sweat beading on his brow, as he feels the weight of his own inadequacies. No matter how hard the unawakened work, no matter how much effort they put into their lives, there's a gap they can never bridge, a chasm of power between them and even the weakest of awakened, the ear-anchors. As if to drive the point home, we see another figure, walking calmly through the shadows. Hands in his pockets, an expression of cool indifference on his face, this awakened individual doesn't even have to try. He just is. He exists in a world that would forever keep people like the struggling student below him, no matter how hard they fight, and that, the student realizes, is what truly makes it hard to bear. The world may be split, but the real battle, it's in the hearts and minds of those who haven't been awakened. The world will come to an end if the hunters don't close the gates. It's a simple but crushing truth. Standing in the light, the main character reflects on this fact, his expression unreadable, but his thoughts heavy. In other words, while the unawakened can't survive without the awakeners can live just fine without them. It's a sobering reality. The fate of the unawakened, the ordinary people, is in the hands of the superpowered awakeners. Yet, the awakeners, they don't need anyone. It's a one-sided dependence, and the character can feel the imbalance that he continues to work on his canvas, the brush moving swiftly as if it's the only way to channel his swirling thoughts. A realization hits him, that is why everyone is thankful to the hunters. After all, They are the heroes, the ones who keep the world from collapsing under the weight of monsters, danger, and chaos. After all, aren't they the reason an unawakened like me can live in peace? He grips his brush a little tighter, the tension clear in his movements. But despite this acknowledgement, something nags at him, a thought he can't shake off. But a worry began to grow in the corner of my heart. As his brush strikes the canvas with increasing intensity, the doubts bubble up from within. He wonders if he's becoming too used to this dynamic, too accustomed to being the one with no power, the one dependent on others to protect him. Am I just slowly growing accustomed to not having things? The question lingers, echoing louder in his mind. His brow furrows as memories flash before him, memories that fuel the doubt and worry in his heart. The protagonist is reflecting deeply on his past, thinking about the things that define him. My missing parents, he starts, recalling the image of a family that seems distant now, a father, a mother, and a baby, all framed in a moment of a happier time. But that warmth has been replaced with a grim sense of vulnerability. But dude, where's your auntie? Grandma? Your father's old comrades? His self-proclaimed brother? And the high school girl? My survival, which relies on others, he continues. In his mind, he recalls scenes where his fate seemed completely out of his control, like a puppet with its strings tangled by other people's hands. Even in moments when he thought he could achieve anything, reality always came crashing down, and with that, the weight of his realization settles in. He's been surviving, but not living. He's been existing in a world where his fate is not his own, where the awakened hold the keys to his future. He recounts, after having everything taken from me, a sense of helplessness filled the hole in my heart. The visual shifts to schoolmates, probably from his past, walking by with smug faces, reminding him of the time when he felt completely powerless. My mother used to always tell me that I was becoming like my father quite well, he recalls, perhaps a bittersweet memory considering the weight of his current circumstances. Then, a question arises, how did his father escape this feeling of helplessness? The scene darkens as the protagonist ponders this, almost as if the question haunts him. As the imagery grows more intense, his name is called softly, Soho. A close-up of his shocked eyes signals his return to reality. Now, we're pulled out of his deep thoughts and into the present. He's at his desk, drawing, completely lost in concentration until someone speaks to him. The guy standing over him compliments his focus, good concentration today. Startled, our protagonist snaps out of his thoughts. Ah, yes, he stammers, clearly caught off guard. His friend or colleague asks, what are you having so much fun drawing? Innocently, the main character responds, I was just drawing whatever came to mind. Then comes the teasing jab, were you drawing an ant? It's quite inventive for an ant. Well, maybe it might be more appropriate to call it an ant person. And finally, there's a moment of quiet introspection, as our main character thinks to himself, why did I even draw this? It's a mix of heavy reflection followed by a slice-of-life moment, with a touch of humor. Our protagonist seems to be dealing with some serious inner turmoil, but in this moment, he's just a guy trying to find some peace in drawing weird ant. Suddenly, the scene cuts to a dark, intimidating figure. The creature, drawn in jagged lines, looms ominously. And there he is, where are the others? What happened to Kim Chul? As the tension rises, the perspective shifts again, this time outside. The hunters are coming out, someone announces as people start to gather. From the portal, a team of figures walks out confidently, their mission clearly a success. Whoa, a spectator exclaims in awe, they look so relaxed. They must have succeeded. And sure enough, a group of elite-looking hunters stride out, their armor glinting in the light. They walk with purpose, exuding an air of quiet victory. In this scene, Hunter Kim Jong-soo just finished a successful dungeon raid, and one of his colleagues congratulates him with enthusiasm, saying, "Great work, Hunter Kim Jong-soo." Looking slightly tired but still composed, Kim Jong-soo confirms, the dungeon raid went successfully. But just when things seem like they're wrapping up, Jong-soo drops an unexpected detail, "Also, I have something to report to the Hunters Association." Dramatically, he reveals, "We encountered a new type of monster." As he recalls the event, his expression turns serious. The next thing we see are terrifying monsters, humanoid creatures with flames blazing from their eyes and mouths. He explains, they were humanoid monsters with blue flames spouting from their eyes and mouths. He goes on to describe how they attacked using claws and fangs, but surprisingly, their attacks weren't powerful at all. Jong-soo then reflects on the encounter, casually admitting, "Since I'm still fine after getting scratched by their attacks, there isn't much to them, but..." He remains on alert, clearly still thinking through the implications of facing these strange creatures. Another hunter listens to Kim Jong-soo's report and responds with relief, saying, "I am happy to hear that they are not too dangerous." However, the situation isn't entirely dismissed as the hunter acknowledges that they are still definitely monsters that we haven't seen since the birth of the gates. Finally, with a formal tone, the hunter instructs, "Then Hunter Kim Jong-soo, please make sure to draft up a simple report about what happened during this raid." It's clear this discovery is going to need some more attention, but at least for now, things seem under control, kind of. As the scene unfolds, we find ourselves in the midst of a tense situation. A man is depicted with a look of shock and fear etched across his face, his eyes wide and mouth agape, clearly sensing imminent danger. The intensity of the moment is accentuated by the sudden, sharp sounds filling the air, the distinct zzz and zzz noises that could either indicate something approaching fast or a surge of electricity crackling through the air. Cut to the next frame, we see a group gathered around what appears to be a limp figure. The atmosphere is heavy with anticipation and uncertainty. The focus shifts to a man in a yellow hard hat, holding a tablet, clearly trying to make sense of the situation. Beside him stands a figure clad in armor, exuding an aura of authority or perhaps preparedness for the worst. Other figures linger in the background, their expressions hidden, but their body language suggests concern. The next moment reveals the man in the hard hat examining the body closely. "Hunter Kim Jong-soo," he mutters in disbelief, as if confirming the identity of someone who shouldn't be here, or at least not in this state. The body hangs suspended, eerily still, with a sword planted firmly in the ground beside it, the aura of a silent battle lingering around. But before he can complete his thought, the scene takes a wild turn. The expression on the hard hat man's face morphs into one of pure terror as the once lifeless figure suddenly springs to life. His eyes glow with an unearthly light, his mouth opens wide, releasing an electrifying roar that crackles through the air, filled with energy and intensity that could knock someone off their feet. "Are you?" The hard hat man barely gets out, his voice filled with confusion and panic as he is cut off by the monstrous, almost otherworldly scream. The roar grows louder, filling the air with a power that seems to distort the very fabric of reality. The man in the hard hat can barely hold on to his composure, and everyone around him is left wondering, what on earth just happened? Who, or what, is this Hunter Kim Jong-soo? The chaos intensifies as the possessed figure with the blue flames surges forward, leaving a trail of smoke and energy in his wake. Those nearby, an armored soldier and a girl with a determined expression, freeze in shock as the atmosphere grows heavy with tension. The girl's eyes widen, sweat trickles down her brow, and she mutters under her breath. But there's no time to think. The resurrected man, his eyes now glowing with an eerie blue light, lunges at one of the bystanders, lifting him off the ground effortlessly with one hand. The poor guy in the blue jacket, now caught in the grip of the flaming man, has no idea what hit him. His mouth hangs open in shock, a scream dying in his throat. Meanwhile, the man with sunglasses in the background, who seems to have walked straight out of a detective novel, instinctively takes a step back, his eyes darting around as if looking for an exit. The girl observes closely, noticing something familiar in the spectacle before her. Those blue flames, they're just like the monsters in the dungeon, she exclaims, her voice trailing off in realization. But before she can finish her thought, the flaming man's head whips toward her with a sharp glare, his expression unreadable, yet filled with malice. The realization hits hard, this isn't just some random occurrence. It's a pattern, something they've encountered before in the depths of those dark dungeons. Without warning, a powerful force blasts through the air. The girl with the blonde ponytail and her companion are flung backward like ragdolls, tumbling over each other as they hit the ground. Whoa! Her companion yelps in surprise, desperately trying to regain their footing. The sheer power of the blast leaves cracks in the pavement, the smoke rising in angry tendrils around them. A moment of eerie silence follows. Then, chaos erupts once more. The bystanders, clearly not ready for this kind of action, scramble for safety, their faces a mix of panic and fear. The desperate cries echo through the air, a sharp contrast to the low growls emanating from the figure in the center of it all. The air is thick with tension, and the smell of smoke permeates everything. People scream and run, some tripping over each other in their desperate bid. We witness a dramatic scene filled with action and chaos. A young man in a yellow jacket is overwhelmed by fear as he is assaulted by unseen, presumably supernatural, forces that manifest as swirling dark shadows. The scene is electrified with intense energy arcs and ominous glows, enhancing the sense of danger. The man's terrified screams, represented by the bold KYAAA and AHH, echo through the air, amplifying the horror of the moment. His body language, recoiling in horror, suggests he was completely unprepared for this terrifying encounter. The atmosphere shifts to a somber and eerie calm after the storm. Here, we see the aftermath of some unknown calamity within a modern building, possibly a school or a business office. A young man, crouched and distressed, is comforted by another who stands tall, exuding calm and control amidst the chaos. The scene is marked by a stark contrast between the earlier violence and this quiet moment of human connection. What's going on? From behind a shattered window, a young artist and his classmates look on, confusion etched on their faces. What is that? The artist mumbles, his hand gripping a paintbrush, as if it could somehow ward off the impending danger. His friend, peeking over his shoulder, nervously adds, "Are they fighting each other?" As if on cue, a new wave of screams fills the air. Several of the workers, now with their eyes glowing an unnatural blue, begin attacking one another, their movements jerky and unnatural, like marionettes controlled by unseen hands. The students gasp, horror mixing with disbelief. Their glowing blue eyes, they're like monsters, someone exclaims. A student steps forward, his eyes wide with fear. Please don't tell me it's a dungeon break, is it? The words hang heavy in the air, sending a shiver down everyone's spine. Panic surges through the crowd like electricity. What are you doing? We need to run away, someone shouts. Another argues, no. We should wait here for the hunters instead. Inside the building, a teacher's assistant, Mr. Lim, looks flustered as the students around him start to panic. "Ta Lim, you're an awakener. Do something," they plead. But Mr. Lim, sweating profusely, waves his hands nervously. "No, I'm just an E-rank, so." His sentence trails off into a series of uncertain dots as the group stares at him, their hope fading fast. Suddenly, a chilling presence is felt. The blue-flamed figure slowly steps onto the rooftop, its eyes locking with Suho's through the window. Suho gulps, his legs shaking slightly as he realizes that no one is safe, not even the weakest among them. In the twilight haze of a seemingly ordinary cityscape, an eerie calm is shattered by the sudden appearance of a sinister figure shrouded in ghostly smoke. With an enigmatic KOI, this spectral entity descends from a rooftop, like a harbinger of chaos poised to unleash pandemonium. The scene quickly escalates as another character, caught in the turmoil, is violently hurled against a wall. The impact resounds through the air with a sharp KUH, marking the collision's brutal force. The panel vibrates with the kinetic energy of the encounter, hinting at the powerful forces at play in this supernatural showdown. Amidst the chaos, a voice cuts through the cacophony, an urgent plea from a wide-eyed protagonist in a classic denim jacket. "Run away," he shouts, his voice laced with terror. The urgency of his command is palpable as the characters around him scramble to evade the relentless assault. The atmosphere is charged with panic, underscored by a fierce KUH that echoes their frantic movements. As the confrontation reaches its climax, the narrative shifts focus to a desperate struggle for survival. One character, in a futile attempt to dodge an electrifying attack, is overwhelmed by a powerful entity unleashing a lightning-like force. The intensity of the moment is captured by a dramatic KYHAH that slashes across the panel, highlighting the explosive power on display. They were just watching, their faces etched with horror and disbelief. As they witness the surreal spectacle, their reactions are encapsulated by a stunned YOXX. Their expressions provide a lighter, almost comedic contrast to the terrifying display of power, balancing the gravity of the situation with a hint of humor. As chaos unfolds in the city, our intrepid protagonist, in a moment of sheer bravery, or perhaps foolishness, shouts, everyone! Run away!" His command, though valiant, is somewhat undercut by his own panicked retreat, marked by a flurry of KOKs that make it sound like he's stuttering more from fear than from any supernatural chill. In the ensuing melee, debris flies and characters scatter in a comic ballet of dodging and weaving. Amid the confusion, one less fortunate soul cries out, I can't get up." It's less of a heroic stand and more of a confession you'd expect at a particularly intense yoga class. As the scene grows increasingly dire, another hapless fellow gasps, "Help me." The woman's voice is less a commanding shout and more of a desperate whimper, the kind you might hear when someone realizes they've accidentally started a horror movie marathon with no way to find the remote. The climax of our tale of misadventure arrives when someone decides that enough is enough. "I'll call a hunter," Suho declares, with a determination that would be inspiring if it wasn't for the fact that they're sprinting away faster than one might flee an awkward conversation at a family reunion. Amidst the chaos and crumbling concrete of the city, our not-so-heroic hero experiences a full-blown crisis of conscience. With a dramatic gesture to the heavens, or perhaps just to the upper floors of the shattered building, he laments, "Damn it, why did I even say that? I just left her to her death." It's the kind of melodramatic monologue you'd expect at the climax of a tragic opera, not in the middle of a supernatural smackdown. As he stumbles through the debris, our protagonist's internal monologue takes a turn from regret to self-chastisement. "But the only thing an unawakened like me can do is," he cries, presumably about to list some heroic virtues but instead acknowledging his rather limited resume of superhuman abilities. Then, as if caught in a loop of motivational speeches gone wrong, he berates himself further. King unawakened again. Nothing will change if I don't do anything and just keep making excuses. It's the kind of pep talk that might make a life coach facepalm. But our guy is determined, or at least determined not to just stand there and monologue while the world ends. In a moment of existential questioning fit for a Shakespearean aside, he looks to the heavens, or the ceiling, depending on the structural integrity of the building at this point, and asks, "Dad, what would you do?" It's a poignant question, filled with the gravitas one might feel when asking for guidance at a critical crossroad, or when you've accidentally locked yourself out of the house. In a moment of cinematic introspection, the scene opens with a haunting image of our hero, shrouded in a soft, ethereal glow. His face, partly obscured, conveys a depth of emotion that words alone cannot capture. It's a quiet before the storm, a brief respite filled with contemplation and perhaps regret, set against the backdrop of a once peaceful city now teetering on the brink of chaos. But the calm is shattered as suddenly as it arrived. A burst of sinister blue energy explodes into the scene, heralding the arrival of unspeakable power. The atmosphere crackles with raw, electric fury as it echoes through the air, a sound that seems to vibrate in the very bones of the city. The hero's moment of peace is violently interrupted, and he is thrust back into the harsh reality of the battle that awaits. The doorway frames a young woman, her expression a mix of horror and disbelief, underscored by a startled hic. The destructive force unleashed moments ago now threatens to engulf her, the crackling energy illuminating the fear etched on her face. It's a snapshot of impending doom, of ordinary lives caught in the crossfire of a battle far greater than they could have imagined. As the hero leaps into action, the panels shift rapidly, capturing the fierce and frenetic movement of combat. The villain, or perhaps another victim of the tumultuous power at play, appears overwhelmed by the same sinister energy, his features contorted in pain or rage as Ka fills the air. The scene is a chaotic symphony of light and shadow, energy and emotion, each frame intensifying the sense of imminent danger. The face of the young woman, now overwhelmed by despair. Tears streak down her face as she gasps in terror, the reality of her situation sinking in. The stark contrast between her vulnerability and the overwhelming supernatural forces at play paints a poignant picture of the human cost of this conflict. In the heart of a catastrophic maelstrom, our protagonist is engulfed by violent surges of electric energy that twist and arc around him in a frenzied dance of raw power. The scene is charged with a visceral tension, the air thick with the crackle and hiss of unleashed elemental fury. The SOA that bursts forth in the panel is more than a sound, it's the palpable roar of energy clashing against the limits of human endurance, illustrating the hero's struggle against overwhelming forces. As the battle escalates, another frame captures the action at its peak. Here, the hero is depicted in a dramatic descent, propelled backwards by the force of the confrontation. The vivid MHP screams across the panel, mirroring the explosive impact of his collision with unseen adversaries. Debris scatters around him like shards of broken reality, each piece a testament to the brutal confrontation unfolding. This is not just a physical battle but a visceral fight for survival. The focus closely on Suho's face, a study in agony and determination. Sweat beads on his brow, mixing with tears that streak down his weathered cheeks. The emotional toll is etched deeply into his features, marked by lines of stress and shadowed eyes that speak of fatigue and pain. As he braces for yet another assault, a desperate thought crosses his mind, encapsulated in the poignant dialogue bubble: if it was Dad, then he'd definitely. This thought reveals his inner turmoil, juxtaposing his current desperation with the ideal of strength he believes his father would embody in such a dire situation. Beneath the digital noise, words attempt to form coherent messages but are broken and distorted, reflecting possibly a communication breakdown or a critical error message from a system under duress. The text fragments hint at layers of meaning or commands that are crucial yet only partially comprehensible. Notice, and in unknown words, it may suggest directives or alerts that are vital to the context of the unfolding drama. What is waiting or Soho? In this scene, we witness Soho reflecting on a dream that seemed like an endless game. It all begins with the thought, "I had a dream a long time ago," hinting at the distant yet vivid memory that followed. This dream was no ordinary one, it resembled a game where the stakes were high, and each level held its own set of dangers. In order to defeat the monsters progressively getting stronger per floor, setting up the typical game-like experience where each level brings harder challenges. It's almost as if we're watching the grind of a determined gamer, battling foes one by one, leveling up with every victory. "I leveled up and fought again and again," speaks to the relentless effort and constant self-improvement. Every foe they faced was merely another stepping stone to greater strength. There's a humorous undertone here, it's as if the character is stuck in the world's longest RPG. And just when things couldn't get more intense, stakes rise. As monsters became stronger, I, too, needed to get continuously stronger. Well, of course. As if it's some twisted game of keep up, Soho faces stronger and stronger enemies, pushing them to their limits. One can't help but chuckle at the absurdity, there's no end to these foes. Through numerous battles and hard-earned victories, Soho reaches a pivotal moment. "I finally reached the highest floor." Cue the dramatic lighting and triumphant music. This line signifies not just progress, but the ultimate achievement. Soho now stands on the top floor, having fought their way to the pinnacle of their quest. We are left on the edge, eagerly wondering what challenge awaits now that they've leveled up to the max. The dream may have resembled a game, but the stakes and effort were as real as it gets. Our protagonist's journey is a never-ending grindfest of epic proportions, and we're along for the ride. In this intense scene, our protagonist is finally facing the ultimate challenge, the final boss. As the battle unfolds, we hear his thoughts, "The final boss I encountered there was powerful. This is no ordinary opponent, and despite being the enemy, there's a strange sense of admiration from Soho, who admits, though he was my enemy, I couldn't help but feel envious and even awed by his power." But here's the twist, and for some reason, the identity of the final boss was. The suspense is palpable as Soho recognizes the figure before him. The realization hits hard, this powerful, intimidating figure, is none other than his own father. Dad? And a flood of emotion and confusion follows. It's a lot to process mid-battle.my dad, Soho reflects further, almost in disbelief. It's probably because the image I had of my dad was reflected in my dream. We see of his father, the Dark Monarch, everyone's first love. Don't tell Hunter Cha. Anyway, he's standing strong and reliable, a figure of immense power and respect. It makes sense now why this battle feels personal. All my memories from solo leveling suddenly floods in. Soho wonders, how was he able to become that powerful? It's as if his dad is not only the final boss but also the ultimate role model. In a shift back to reality, the scene changes to a physical challenge, no longer a dream, but a life-or-death scenario. Soho thinks, "Dad?" As he braces for impact, his legs moving before his mind can fully catch up. There's a dash of humor here, imagining what Dad might have done in this same situation. If it were you in this unbelievable situation. Suho wonders, while sprinting away from danger like he's in a race he didn't sign up for. Powerful attacks flying through the air. One attack after another, Suho is caught up in the chaos of battle, taking blows and dishing them out with impressive speed and agility. But even in the midst of the action, the doubt creeps in. You would have done the same, right? It's as if he's seeking approval, hoping that this reckless charge wasn't completely foolish. The tension rises as Suho begins to realize the gravity of the situation. What should I do now? He's heard that without mana, an unawaken's attacks won't work on a magic beast. Oh, bad news for him, since he's exactly that, unawakened and seemingly powerless. And now, with a bit of self-deprecating humor, he admits, I charged in a bit too recklessly. It's an almost comical realization amidst the chaos, he's in over his head, and things are about to get even crazier. In this pivotal moment, Suho is caught off guard, his hand hovering in the air as something incredibly bizarre happens. What is this? His mind races, staring at the frozen figures around him. Time stopped. He wonders, disbelief spreading across his face. It's as if the universe decided to hit pause on everything, except him. Suddenly, a notification appears out of nowhere. Notice. You have met the requirements to complete the secret quest, Courage of the Weak. Wait, a quest? Now. He's as surprised as we are, but there's no time to process it because more notifications start popping up. Another notice appears, telling him, you now qualify to become a player. Do you accept? Suho, still a bit dumbfounded, looks around. This situation feels oddly familiar. This situation, it's like that dream. Flashbacks of battling and leveling up flood his mind. In the middle of this strange pause, he starts connecting the dots. If I can fight like I did in that dream. There's a realization dawning on him now. What reason does he have to refuse? After all, the current situation looks pretty dire. What reason do I have to not accept it in this despairing situation? So, with a steely determination, he answers with just one word. Accept. And just like that, the universe responds. Suddenly, golden rays flood the room as the system processes his acceptance. Congratulations. You have now become a player. Another notice swiftly follows, Quest Reward Notice Quest Reward Secret Quest, Courage of the Weak Blessing, Great Spellcaster, Candiaru's Blessing. The great spellcaster Candiaru has gifted a special spell to you. Candiaru's blessing will ensure that you will always be strong and healthy during your lifetime, but the system isn't done yet. More rewards start popping up, like it's Christmas morning. Quest Reward Permanent Effect, Longevity, all diseases, poisons, and status effects are healed, and sleeping will explosively increase regeneration ability. But then there's this little bite, notice this system will help the player develop, this is not a dream, that you have only one life, so beware, well, that's reassuring, or not. And there it is, his new reality, all in a neat little status window. Status window name, Sung Suho class, none title, none level, 1 fatigue, 0 HP, 100 MP, 10 strength, 10 agility, 10 sense, 10 health, 10 intelligence, 10 available points, 0 skill passive skill, none active skill, ruler's authority LV, 1. Still in awe, he thinks, this game-like status window. He stares at it with a mix of excitement and disbelief. Just as I thought. It's like his wildest dream has come true, except it's very real. But there's no time to celebrate yet, another quest pops up immediately. A quest has arrived. His eyes narrow as he reads the task. It's a tutorial quest: defeat the mist burn and level up. Of course, nothing is ever easy. And just as he processes that, a massive, hulking figure looms over him, ready to fight. With a new sense of purpose, Suho gets ready to face the challenge head-on. It's game time, but this time, there's no reset button. The scene begins with the ominous appearance of a new foe, D-rank awakened mist burn. The sheer power radiating from the enemy is enough to make anyone's knees shake. Suho takes it all in, realizing with a start, time is moving again. His mind kicks into overdrive. The situation is tense. Run, quickly. He yells to his companion, who stammers back an "oh-okay." As the urgency of the moment hits them, Suho, while trying to manage the situation, can't help but notice something surreal: the name tag on top of their heads. Yep, like a gamer in the middle of a boss fight, the names and stats of his opponents are floating right above them, clear as day. He identifies his enemies quickly. My opponents are 2 unawakened mist burn and 1 hunter who underwent magic beast transformation. Not exactly a stroll in the park. But Suho's internal monologue shifts with growing confidence as he reflects: I really did awaken. Suddenly, the idea doesn't seem so far-fetched. There's a fire extinguisher in his hand, and with the power of his newly awakened abilities, he swings it like a pro baseball player. He doesn't hold back, throwing everything he's got at the enemies, tossing apologies in between punches like it's a casual conversation. Sorry. Smash. Crack. He takes them on with surprising skill, moving fluidly as if his instincts are kicking in, guiding every punch and strike. The fight is fast and furious, but before he knows it, it's over. The notification flashes: notice, you have defeated the unawakened mist burn. Suho stares in disbelief, catching his breath. In one shot. He almost can't believe it himself. He's still standing, victorious over a beast he didn't even think he could face, let alone defeat so quickly. Suho, now fully aware of his new powers, stands tall after his unexpected but triumphant victory. Suho unleashes a powerful attack, striking down the unawakened mist burn. As the battle rages, notifications flood in like a game system in overdrive: you have defeated the unawakened mist burn, followed swiftly by the sweet reward of leveling up, level up. The system is clearly impressed, with another notification: quest tutorial has been completed. Notice: quest tutorial has been completed. Quest notice: quest tutorial, defeat the mist burn and level up. Level attained 2/2. Suho doesn't even have time to celebrate as the game-like system continues, offering a reward for his valiant efforts. It asks politely, as if it were offering him a candy bar: check your reward. Accept/decline. Of course, there's only one option: accept. In a moment of realization, he thinks, now I'm sure of it. I really did awaken. There's no doubt in his mind now. His newfound powers are real, and he's not just some regular guy anymore. He's awakened, and the game has changed for good. But there's no rest for the weary, as another D-rank awakened mist burn appears, ready for a fight. The battle intensifies as Suho goes toe-to-toe with this formidable foe. In the thick of a gritty showdown, Suho, clad in a sleek blue jacket, faces off against the enigmatic mist burn. As mist burn unleashes a torrent of electric blue energy, aiming directly at Suho, the tension in the air is palpable. Suho, with his quick reflexes, dodges the initial blast, his eyes wide with surprise and a hint of disbelief. It withstood that? He gasps, stunned that his opponent could resist such a powerful assault. As the energy crackles and whips through the air, Suho's shock turns to determination. He maneuvers with the grace of a seasoned warrior, barely escaping the relentless onslaught. Each frame captures the kinetic energy of their battle, the air practically sizzling with raw power. The battle reaches its peak as Suho, now on the defensive, finds himself cornered. With nowhere to run, the reality of his situation sets in. He lies on the ground, looking up as the ominous shadow of Mistburn looms over him. Suho's face etched in determination and a faint hope that his dry cleaner has a discount for superhero-related stains. Even he can't believe it. But as he gets back up, another dangerous realization creeps in: I'll turn into a magic beast if it wounds me. Am I really going to become a magic beast right after awakening? The stakes are higher than ever. One wrong move, and he might lose control. Just as despair begins to settle in, a notification chimes in with a reassuring tone: a harmful status effect has been detected in your spirit. And almost as if the game feels bad for him, it continues: the status effect is lifted due to the effect of longevity. Saved by the system. Suho's mind races as he pieces everything together. Longevity. Now that I think about it, I remember seeing that in the status window earlier. He recalls that helpful trait, realizing it's what's keeping him from turning into a magic beast. With newfound confidence, he surges back into battle, ready to take down the remaining Mistburn. But this is no easy fight, and the D-rank enemy is still a formidable opponent. As the fight wears on, Suho grapples with a sobering thought: if I'm weaker than the D-rank who became a magic beast, that means I'm E-rank. I just became an awakened, and I'm already worried about rank. It's a heavy burden, but there's no time for self-doubt as the battle rages around him. Suho desperately searches for an opening, thinking, there has to be something. But just as the tension reaches its peak, a sudden realization hits him like a bolt of lightning. Ah! What exactly he's figured out, we don't know yet, but whatever it is, it's bound to be BIG.IN. This action-packed scene, Suho stands firm, accepting the reward with a determined accept reward. The system responds immediately with a list of rewards, boosting his stats. Reward 1, Stat Point plus 5. Reward 2, Strength Stat Point plus 3. His strength increases from 11 to 14, but there's no time to savor the victory as the battle rages on. With a burst of energy, Suho lets out a fierce roar, "Arah!" He charges at his opponent, the D-rank awakened Mistburn, launching a full-on assault. However, even with his enhanced strength, the Mistburn proves to be a formidable foe, and the fight drags on. He dodges and attacks, but it seems his blows aren't landing the way he hoped. As he takes stock of the situation, Suho comes to a sobering realization: even with the strength increase, I still can't defeat this thing. It's a frustrating moment, but he doesn't back down. In a quick decision, he decides to pour all his remaining points into strength. Then, I'll put all the points I got as a reward into strength. His strength surges from 14 to 19, and he clenches his fist, feeling the raw power course through him. This is no ordinary leveling system. An awakener who levels up. I've never heard of that before. He's breaking the rules of the game, becoming stronger even after awakening, something unheard of. Since ranks are decided upon awakening, and no awakeners became stronger than their ranks. Yet here he is, defying all conventions, surpassing limits that shouldn't be surpassed. Though I don't know who determines the ranks and the unawakened. As the fight intensifies, Suho reflects on how powerful this newfound strength is. But if I got the power to escape from that damned structure. He doesn't know who determines the ranks or the unawakened, but right now, none of that matters. All that matters is the battle in front of him. The walls crumble around them, their attacks shattering the structure. The stakes are high, but with his newfound strength, Suho isn't backing down. The fight escalates as both warriors unleash everything they've got, their blows sending shockwaves through the room. The structure collapses under the pressure of their battle, debris flying everywhere. It's a fight for survival, and Suho is ready to face it head-on, now stronger than ever. Suho is charging full speed ahead, smashing through the rubble as if he's become a force of nature. With raw determination, he barrels into his opponent, shattering everything in his path. Debris flies everywhere, and the intensity of his power is almost tangible. He slams his fist into the ground, sending a shockwave that leaves his opponent reeling. Finally, the system acknowledges his victory with a notice: "You have defeated the D-rank awakened mist burn." Relief washes over him as he reads the words he's been fighting for: level up. Another level up. The notifications come in waves, confirming his newfound strength. He stands amidst the wreckage, panting, the adrenaline still coursing through his veins. I won, he says aloud, almost in disbelief. He's alive. He's victorious. With a mix of relief and awe, he realizes, with this, I'm an awakener as well. His hand clenches into a fist, the sensation of power still coursing through him. As he catches his breath, the weight of the battle lifts, and he lets out a triumphant yell: "I made it." He finally feels the shift, the change in himself that he's been fighting for all along. I can do it now. He's no longer just surviving. Now, he's confident that he can help others. Seeing how I'm currently awakened, I can save the people and solve this crisis. With renewed purpose, he takes off, running towards whatever challenge lies ahead. But as he bursts through the nearest exit, he pauses to take stock of the situation. What's the current situation outside? His mind races, already strategizing the next move. That's when he sees it, a new threat, looming large. His eyes widen as he stares up at his new opponent, C-rank awakened mist burn. His jaw drops as he realizes the size of the challenge ahead. "Huh?" He blurts out in disbelief. It's not over yet, there's always a bigger boss. This time, it's a C-rank enemy, and things are about to get even more intense. In the final moments of this chapter, the air trembles as an earth-shattering crash occurs. The massive form of the C-rank awakened mist burn plummets from the sky like a meteor, smashing into the ground with an explosive force. As the siren sounds, people around the vicinity start to panic. Dungeon break at the University of Art's repeated announcement blares as they warn the civilians and unawakened to vacate the area. Reinforcements started to head in the scene. We request all civilians within the area to promptly evacuate. People pours in the streets, children's clutching their parents' hands, terrified teenagers coming from school, anxious adults who just want to go to work. All of them were trapped, not knowing what would happen next, just hoping that the reinforcement will come in time. Military reinforcement now on standby, but really just now when a lot of people, students and faculty, have been casualty. They stand guard as they assess the scene, spotting some awakened monsters across the building. "Damn it, people are dying, but all we can do is stand by and watch," the soldier said with resignation evident on his face. When is the hunter sent by the Hunter Association arriving? Even though they can't do anything, they still survey the R and make sure they can rescue whoever they can. It seems it's taking some time to assign a hunter of rank B or above. The soldier started to panic as he assessed the situation that seems too impossible to be solved. I mean, he just want to earn his paycheck and here he is B rank. Didn't he? They say this gate was D rank. Their captain just chilling out there smoking like there were no monsters rampaging. Well, the association is taking the fact that the hunters were infected. Look, if you just shived back that hunter that was scratched, this is not a problem. Not my thoughts, but probably what the smoking captain thinks. Could it be? As the soldiers took a look at his tablet containing the information on who may be infected, that a C rank hunter was infected, and their worry was confirmed when they saw the list. Kim Jong-soo, tank rank C. As if on cue, Mist Burn enters the scene with his sword on hand, visibly much stronger than before. What the hell? Suho, recovering from his previous shock, braced himself and started moving in a defensive position. Did it jump here from a lower floor? Yes hun, he just did. So I advise you to start moving before he starts swinging that big ass of a sword. A C rank Mist Burn, he really is burning with that electrifying blue. Seeing how it even has a weapon, it's definitely different from the previous Mist Burns. Hell, I wasn't informed that leveling up comes with an equipment. But I leveled up a moment ago. Could I stand a chance? Suho started doubting himself as Mist Burn continues to level up. Even though he just defeated him, the skills level difference is already showing. But even if that were the case, Suho still positioned himself in a fighting stance. Mist Burn swings his sword towards Suho. He is lucky enough to dodge it. I really suggest leveling up your luck, Suho, you'll need it in the future. Mist Burn continues his attacks. It shows the difference of physique, stamina and combat level between the two of them. Suho was able to dodge it, but until when? This is insane. You're more insane dodging all those powerful attacks as expected of Jinwoo's son. As Mist Burn prepares for an attack, Suho already prepares a counter. He went to grab a fire extinguisher and throw it in the direction of Mist Burn's sword. The explosion of the fire extinguisher doubles as a smoke screen, giving him time to prepare for another attack, or at least collects himself. Suho runs out of the room after the fire extinguisher explodes. There's no way I can face a monster like this, he says, running away while thinking of what to do next. You know, Suho, if that were me, I would play dead. Hell, from the first swing I would already be dead. Just tell your dad to summon me as a shadow army. So there's a reason for awakeners being split into ranks. Really, you just realized that now? This little sure. When will the hunters get here? Even with newly awakened power, Suho doubts his own abilities as his other opponent is already an experienced awakener. If I can just hold out until another hunter arrives. News flash, you're the only one who can defeat him. Poison neutralizer, remember. Mist Burn emerges from the room. This guy still has the stamina to fight. Suho, noticing that Mist Burn is out, sharpened his gaze and surveys the scene, finding out what he can do about the situation on hand. C rank Mist Burn, sir, you look like you have rabies from mana oozing with energy. He started to hunt Suho with one goal in mind, to kill his opponent. He looks left and right trying to find which way Suho went. Suho, confused on why Mist Burn suddenly turns his focus to another direction. As he turned, he saw what caught Mist Burn attention. No way, Suho exclaimed after spotting a couple of students that were at the rooftop waiting to be rescued. But do they really need to expose themselves instead of hiding? If I were Suho, I will anyways. Huddling together, visibly scared and shaking, one student says, let's wait here until the hunters arrive. No, you should hide. They'll arrive soon, right? Asked the other student. The student in black jacket suddenly realized someone was looking at them. Mist Burn launches his attack. He jumped from the open space to the rooftop, swinging his sword and aiming for the students. 1 second they were still here, another second passed and then they were gone. Suho shouted to warn them, but he is too late. The only thing that was left was the damage that was made after Mist Burn swing his sword. From the looks of it, no one will survive that shot. Fire blazes Suho's eyes as he promised himself that he will change the situation now that he awakened, but still he couldn't do anything. With this in mind, Suho prepared for his own attack. Suho jumped all the way from the open space to the rooftop, chasing Mist Burn. Clearly the only thing in his mind is to stop him. Damn it all, he exclaimed, there's no time to wait for a hunter. Suho, fist ready to punch the guts out of Mist Burn, prepares for its attack. He landed a punch but no visible damage was done to Mist Burn. Suho saw the real threat that his opponent may bring. Seeing that no damage has been done, Suho is furious and desperate. Now I need to stop this guy. Suho tried to deal a hit to Mist Burn but he didn't even flinch. Instead Mist Burn counters an attack. Luckily Suho was able to dodge it on time. Even a single hit from him will kill me. Suho, aware of the difference, became cautious of his every move. But as he was about to give up the fight, he saw the remnants of those victims, the innocent student who just went to school to study. Then suddenly a dungeon break happened. Yesterday they were just complaining about how hard their test was, but today no one is there to complain. Suho used this as his motivation. Even though he didn't know those people, they were just people. No one deserves to die like that. The terror as you see before your eyes. What was about to unfold? Suho gave it all. He gave everything he had for this final shot, the move that he tried at Lee Heechul on their graduation day. In desperation he put all his remaining power to that final move, but to no avail. Mist Burn didn't even bulge. Instead Suho was faced with a counter-attack. Mist Burn swung his big-ass sword at Suho while he was still recovering from his offensive stance, giving no time to defend himself. The sword slashes Suho's stomach. KGH, he groans as the impact of the sword finally hits him. It threw him across the room. Blood splatters everywhere. It was true, one hit from his opponent will kill him. Suho clutches his stomach in an attempt to recover from the pain he was feeling, but the damage that has been made was severe enough to recover. HP 1/140. A system prompt alerts him of his stats 1 to 141. I lucked out. Even though he felt all the damage coming to him, he still tried to fight like a true warrior. The system must not want me to fall, yet even in pain he still tried to stand up and fight again, in which triggers his opponent. Mist Burn smiles as he prepares for another attack, but something is happening. Something is breaking on the surface. An electrifying light starts to pour out from the break. Suho still in his fighting stance. Fatigue is evident. He still stands tall and ready to fight even though blood is dripping from him from everywhere. The cracks are spreading as if something or someone wants to come out. Mist Burn is sure of his victory as he sees Suho staggers because of the damage that he received. Fatigue 99. Damn it, Suho says in resignation. As Suho fell to the ground, something was happening on the surface. The floor finally cracked and whatever wanted to come out was able to. Something dark and powerful, someone that we all loved from the first series, someone who loves watching historical K-dramas. Baro emerges from whatever space he comes from, probably not expecting the scene that about to see. When Mist Burn's attack is near a passed out, Suho Baro defended him by blasting a powerful hit to save our dearest. This attack cost him his arm while still holding his sword. I say deserved. The impact was so powerful that it destroyed the floor that Mist Burn is standing at. An ant half-conscious, Suho says as he saw his savior, the light leaving his eyes. This condition probably triggered Baro, as Suho is someone he took care of for a long time, the monarch's only son. No, Baro says as he approaches the now unconscious and barely breathing Suho. He checks for its injury and saddened by its sight. All because I was late. Baro started to heal Suho with his green light. All he wanted to do was to take care of him, but he still need to deal with a certain someone. Baro is full of rage as he saw what happened to Suho. He faced Mist Burn that even without an arm is still full of energy. When he saw a new opponent, you guys must be, he says as he started collecting dark energy around him. We all know how powerful Baro is, so we kinda know what is the end of this fight. The lowly pests that dared to harm his highness. Chills from Baro's voice fills the air, dark power surging him, ready to go anytime. He wants just to take revenge on what happened to Suho. In just one shot, Mist Burn's body split in hulls. You can see his legs, torso, arms and other parts of the body flying in different direction. If he is still alive after that, I will applaud him really. On the other side of the university, another monster awakener is attacking a civilian. This looks like Ta Lim, the F-rank awakener. He is holding a mop in defense of himself against the attacking monster. The monster charges at him, claws and fangs baring, ready to kill his target anytime. Unfortunately, he didn't know about Baro's purging as somebody. Ta Lim pleads, still holding the mop, but has no actual strength or will to wield his makeshift weapon. Suddenly a gush of dark energy enters, it pierced the monster's hoe, and behold, meet Barrow's rage. Our mighty and beloved Barrow starts on killing them one by one in one swift. Almost all of the monster awakeners die. The purging starts and no one can stop it, not until every single one of them is dead. The previously walled building was suddenly destroyed as Barrow was consumed by his own anger. He thought of anything other than took revenge on those who hurt Suho. He combed every nook of the university targeting the monsters while saving the civilians. In a flash he encircled the university to hunt those who were still hiding. It looks like a magnificent sight on the onlookers, but it is terror on those who were hunted. The soldiers on standby was surprised on what happened. The whole thing is done even before they realized what was happening. Glass shard from the broken window is dangerously flying around. Barrow, satisfied on the result of his purging, comes back to the resting Suho. If not for Suho almost dying, the reunion looks majestic with the view of the skyline. After destroying everything, Barrow kneeled as he says it has been a while. He looks at Suho like a long-lost uncle. Young monarch,